Hi there, and welcome to another episode of the IBAC Tech Trek podcast, where we explore the outer reaches of insurance technology. I'm your science officer on this journey, Tom Reid, and today, beaming aboard to join me is Chendi, founder and CEO of Sonar AI, and Kai J, co-founder and COO of Sonar AI. So let's talk about what Sonar AI is, the company, but also maybe first let's start with you guys. So maybe Chendi, you can lead us off here. Can you give us a brief bio on yourself and maybe talk about the origin story of Sonar?
Sure, for sure, Tom. I am Chendi. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Sonar AI. So a little bit about me. So I got my PhD in computer science from University of Waterloo just last year, and then before that, I worked as a quant at Goldman Sachs in banking in New York. So really, the story of Sonar really starts with how Kai and I met. So we met 4 years ago in a pitch competition, and then we formed a team and we won the first prize. But at that time, I was doing my PhD. So Kai went on and explored some entrepreneurship in the insurance industry. And then later, when I was about to graduate, Kai reached out and say, "Hey, I have this great idea of creating an insurance platform for brokers and carriers. Do you want to join?" So that's how we started our journey in the insurance space. And then this idea just morphed into Sonar AI as it is.
Cool. So Kai, maybe you give your version of the story. We'll see, and we'll see if it actually is exact. We'll see if it's exactly the same as what Chendi shared here.
Yeah, well, so I started as a management consultant actually. Worked in a big four consulting firm for almost 6 years. I mainly worked on helping insurance companies and financial services companies to improve their performance. In the last year, I actually took a sabbatical to really just explore entrepreneurship, like Chendi said. And it was through that exploration that I realized there is a big gap on the technology adoption and specifically for AI adoption for insurance brokers, agents. So that's how I got Chendi on board. So yeah, we met 4 years ago at the hackathon. That was actually during COVID. So both of us were lucky to be able to team up together and won that hackathon. And we realized that we would be a good team to work together.
That's a great story. So let's talk about Sonar AI. So what actually do you guys? What do you do?
For sure, yeah. So Sonar AI is basically an AI-driven, you could call it co-pilot platform, which is designed specifically for insurance brokers. So the goal of this platform is to really streamline the processes of insurance origination and servicing. So just put it simply, so our AI basically interacts directly with the customer to gather essential information, and then we prepare the insurance applications, and we do things like we matching them with most suitable carriers, and then we request loss runs, and then finally we manage all the ongoing servicing tasks for the customers. So really, the goal here is to automate the entire life cycle of an insurance policy, so that agents don't have to do a lot of manual work in the process.
So you mentioned agents. So obviously, you guys are talking to insurance distributors in the United States as well as Canada. Is that true?
That's right.
Okay. So what lines of business do you focus on? Is it all lines of business? Is it personal insurance, commercial insurance? What's your focus?
So right now we started with personal insurance, but then we are building the functionalities for commercial lines.
Okay. When do you think commercial will be ready?
I think in the next 2 to 3 months.
Okay. Okay. Wow, that's pretty quick. Okay. So you mentioned that Sonar manages the entire life cycle. So there's a number of other tools that most brokers have in their portfolio. Can you talk about how Sonar interacts with those other broker or agent, as the case may be, tools?
Our goal for this platform is to create the full automation systems, right? So in this process, we need to integrate with a lot of different services. For example, like I mentioned, we want to match the customers with different carriers. So that requires an integration with some of the carriers' pricing APIs, for example. And then let me give you an example for a trucking company that we are currently working with. So for a trucking company, trucking insurance company, they provide insurance for obviously trucking companies. So whenever a trucker comes to the platform, what we do is we have the AI to ask for a bunch of information for the customer, and then after we collect the information, we need to do some of the verification as well. For example, we need to verify how this company is doing via some public information, such as the Department of Transportation website. So they will have a lot of information about this company. And then we also have to check their driving records through the connections to MVR. So these are the third-party kind of systems that we have to integrate with. And then obviously at the end of this, we have to integrate with the carriers to get the quoting, get the pricing from them. On the personal side, we try to integrate with some of the AMS systems and some of the common CRMs such as Zoho and Agency Zoom. But then on the commercial side, we try to just create this platform which essentially just automates the whole pipeline, so it doesn't have a huge dependency on the other tools.
So that's the functionality tool and what it integrates with. Let's talk about some of the business benefits or business impact here. So I've got 3 questions for you. I'm going to ask them all at once because sometimes they're tied together, and I don't want to prejudice how you're going to answer the question. But I look at business impact in 3 different ways. So first is, how do you help brokers with their efficiency or productivity, right? So essentially doing more with less or doing more with the same or what have you, making that brokerage more productive. Secondly, how does your tool or platform improve the client experience? And finally, how does your platform give the broker the opportunity or the agent the opportunity to grow more than they would have without your tool? So basically productivity, client experience, growth.
Yeah, sure. So on how we improve the productivity side of things, so we spoke to a lot of insurance brokers. There's a very interesting take from one of the brokers. So he said, look, for a lot of the small, commercial insurance policies, we don't even want to take it, just because the revenue that we're going to make from it is probably just not worthwhile of the manpower that we put into it. Basically, it's just the same process that I just described. You have to collect all the information. You have to do loss runs for this, small business, and then you have to prepare all the proposals for them. It's a lot of effort just for this, small insurance policy. So a lot of times there is this problem of wasted opportunities just because it's not cost effective. So I think with a platform like ours, we really lower the cost of operations just from the agency's perspective. So it makes these opportunities that were not so appealing in the past becomes good revenue for them, right? So I think and at the same time it really takes the burden off the agents, because all these paperwork, these are not the most exciting work, and for a broker, brokers would rather just focus on building new relationships and having conversations with the customers, discovering new opportunities rather than just working on the paperwork. So our platform really takes that burden off the agencies and then makes their business more profitable.
Yep. And I think for client perspective, the current workflow can be very burdensome and very ad hoc. So when the truck drivers, let's say, apply for insurance, there are different kind of things that they have to sort out to request, and there's no centralized location to manage all of those documents. So with our platform, they can easily track their coverage and updates and get immediate answers to some basic questions through our AI assistant. So we enhances the client experience, also make it very simple and efficient to stay informed and engage with their needs. And for growth, I think that's actually a really exciting part of what we have seen from our customers. Previously, because a lot of brokers are tied up with all those manual paperwork, they spend more than half of their day trying to finish those paperwork, that they can't actually increase the volume of their business dramatically. However, with the customers that we have worked with, because we're able to automate some of that paperwork, our customers are able to expand without hiring much of their team. I can give you two examples. For example, one of the agency where we work with, they are able to expand to new customer intake channels, such as placing ads on Facebook and Instagram by thousands a day, and get more customers that way without hiring more CSRs to be able to attend to them. Another customer we have, they actually are expanding to a new province or state. And previously, they were thinking about hiring more CSRs to cover for the increase of the volume. But with AI that we provide, they are able to expand quickly without hiring too much of the stuff.
That's why I asked those questions sort of together, because they, just because you're more productive isn't the end of the game. You're more productive, which could make you either more profitable if that's how you choose to take the money off the table, or you could reinvest it in sales and growth. So let's talk about some of the technical considerations here. And first and foremost, you are transporting client data, potentially storing client data, depending on how the tool actually works behind the scenes. But how do you ensure the security and privacy of that information?
We take data security very, very seriously. So there are several approaches that we currently take. So the first thing is obviously a strict access control, which means, we have to make sure that it's the right people that's accessing the data. So these includes, for example, some two-factor authentication just for logins. So we make sure it's only the person for the policy that's logging into it. And then we make sure that it's only the agency that's working with this customer can access the information for this customer. And then we do have we do secure API exchanges. So for example, like I mentioned, we need to do API integrations with carriers and third-party providers. So we use secure APIs for these integrations. So we ensure that the data exchange is very safe and authenticated. And then finally, we also, we're complying with laws and regulations. For example, in Canada, to comply with, I think it's PIPEDA, so which is the Digital Data Protection Act in Canada. So we store all the Canadian customer information within a server that's in Canada.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. So let's talk about scale. So brokers come in all shapes and sizes. Are there any considerations or limitations when dealing with some of the larger brokerages? And conversely, is there any issues with a smaller broker potentially taking advantage of your platform?
Yeah, I would say our platform is built with scalability in mind. With AI, for example, right now our assistant has the capability to engage or talk to up to 100 customers simultaneously, right? And previously, that is just not possible. And I think if scalability comes in two ways. One is if the agency itself is looking to scale, how the AI can help that agency to achieve that goal. And I think with our solution, it's really the perfect match for the agency to grow their operations without too much of the cost upfront. Whereas for the bigger agencies, we actually are speaking with agencies that handle more than thousands of calls a day. And for them, we're using our AI, we can not only handle hundreds of calls a day simultaneously, but can also do some triage and verification for the agency, so that the customers calling in are directly to the right and best person to speak with, and therefore help them to scale their business as well.
Overall, I would say that it doesn't really matter how big or small this this agency is, because I think we would like to think of the improvement as a percentage-based improvement, right? So we aim to reduce, for example, a certain percent of the workload for an agent. So no matter how many agents you have, you still get that percentage of saving.
Great. Is the technology behind your AI, is that something you guys have built yourself, or are you using third-party tools to bring some of that stuff to life?
So eventually, yes, it is going to be third party. For example, OpenAI is going to be the foundation model, but then we build, the services on top of that. So mostly we don't use these, off the shelf solutions that's in the market. We build the technology on top of the most fundamental third party services, if you would call them.
Yeah. So can you maybe give me your take on, your approach versus another firm that may be essentially leveraging Chat GPT? What makes you different than somebody who's taking advantage of sort of publicly commercially available AI tools?
Yeah. So I think the unique point of our platform is it's not just a GPT wrapper, right? Because this is very specific to the insurance workflow. So, for example, within the ecosystem, the platform that we're building, the AI has very well defined tasks. For example, we want the AI to have the conversation, which is insurance specific, right? We want to collect all the necessary informations for an insurance policy. So this would require a good understanding of what questions needs to be asked, what information needs to be collected, and then we have to be prepared for what the customer might ask, which is probably insurance related. And then within this workflow, for example, if a customer wants to ask a question about the insurance coverage and policies, these are the specific, these are the general AI that's tailored to this domain knowledge, right? So I would say it is really the insurance focus that makes us, different from just having a wrapper and then answer some basic questions. The big thing about AI or the chat-based AI services is that it's very hard to make sure that it gets the output that you really desire. And then in this case, how do we make sure that the AI is providing the information that's the most relevant? I think it's actually a difficult task.
Agreed. I've used a lot of these tools, the commercially available one or the publicly available ones, and it's awesome if you want to do something creative. But when you actually want to do something very, very specific, it can be quite frustrating.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm just not that good at prompt engineering, but anyway, I find it frustrating.
Yeah. And I would say that on top of that, after the first intake, you have more workflows that follow up with that is also insurance specific. So let's say if we are talking about track insurance, right? You have to verify DOT number. You have to pull out MVR. You also probably have to request a loss run from your previous carrier. And all of those are specific to the truck insurance. But with AI, instead of letting a broker to do it, we can automate that process to make their job much easier.
Okay, so let's talk about implementation, right? So no matter how good a tool or platform is, if it doesn't get implemented and the change management at the client organization doesn't go well, things can easily fail, no matter how good that platform is. So can you talk about how you help your clients through that initiation process? What resources are available for that kind of implementation and training, and also potentially for ongoing support?
We have implementation, procedures, how we, onboard the customer. We walk them through how this tool works. I mean, I think this is a really common practice for everybody that's providing a software service. But then I think the important thing about us, or the unique thing about us, is we are a relatively small team. We are a startup. So we're very nimble. So I would say what separates us from some of the bigger service providers is that the human side of things. So we are always very engaged with our customers. If there is anything, it's always the founders that's responsive to the issues. So our customers, they don't have to wait for 2 months to get a bug fixed. We fix them within 2 days. So that's really the level of commitment that we have for our customers. So I think that's also just the benefit of being small in general. But I think that's, at this stage, I think this is really what our customers have valued a lot. They really appreciate that, we just get back to them within 30 minutes, for example.
Fantastic. So you mentioned you're a startup. And I know that training AI models is not a cheap endeavor typically. So you guys likely have a bunch of upfront costs. So maybe talk about what pricing approach you've taken to deal with your customers. How does your pricing model work?
Yeah, so I think this can actually be split to two very interesting questions. One is, as you said, cost-wise. And I think that's another thing Chendi can shed much more light on is that we have a couple competitors in the market, but we have seen that with our resources, our products is the same or sometimes actually superior than the products created by the company that had already had, let's say, 20 millions of funding. And I think that's very telling as to the capability and the quality of the products that we're building as a team. For our pricing, so we use a subscription based model. So we charge a monthly or annual subscription fee based on the plan, and that depends on the number of the users, the features, the usage amount, and the support that required.
I like that approach, and I will say that's much more typical of modern platforms where it's very customizable to the size and desires of the organization. So yeah, that's good to hear. Did you want to add to that at all, Chendi?
Yeah. So, on the point that Kai just brought up, so I think our team is. I would say we're very proud of what we have built with our resources. I mean, there are teams like I mentioned, they've raised like more than $20 million, and then their product isn't really as refined as what we have provided to our customers. So I think that's really one thing that that we're proud of. We can build quality software, with the same resources.
Awesome. So I'm going to get you guys to bring out your crystal ball, whether that's an AI-powered crystal ball or just, human-powered crystal ball. And sometimes I ask people about sort of their projections 5 years down the road, but we're talking AI, so that is changing super fast. So where do you see, so two questions, and you guys can decide who answer these here, but two questions. One, 2 years from now, where do you see Sonar? Where do you see Sonar AI in the marketplace? And two, where do you see AI in general being used in brokerage or agency operations?
Yeah. I'll take first question. I think I would love to answer this question with actually a vision from our customer. This is actually the vision that our customer told us what they want their AI assistant be able to achieve, let's say, in 2 years' time. I think in 2 years, like we want our AI to be able to guide the customer through the whole end-to-end origination and service process of the insurance. And the agents can focus more on just confirm on the information, answer and consult with the customers on strategic issues instead of wasting their time to do all the paperwork in order to set up the insurance. I would say that has a lot of great effects. For example, you will be able to scale up your team when the customer, let's say, answers to a Facebook ad to apply for insurance. From that point to the binding of the insurance, the whole process, instead of letting a human agent to waste most of their time on it, can be already handled by AI. That is the best kind of ideal case we see of how the insurance-specific AI like Sonar will be able to achieve in a few years.
I think the role of AI in the insurance space and specifically for agencies, I think people are generally getting more aware that what AI can do. But I think for us, our vision is always to build an AI that actually works like an insurance assistant, at least, which can actually take workloads off the human agents, which can actually do things that human agents can do, so that human agents can just focus on what they are best at, which is building that relationship with customers, which is obviously, I think, the most important thing in the insurance space. But agents are just burdened by work that can be automated so that they can focus on the most important piece. I think eventually, people will get used to having an AI just taking care of 90% of your workload. And to achieve that, I think this is going to be, and this can be achieved in relatively quickly in a very short time frame.
Yeah. I love to end that with one very popular saying that we have heard from some of our mentors is, AI will not replace insurance agents, but it will replace insurance agents who won't take advantage of AI to their business. And I think that's very true. As you probably know, insurance industry is facing a labor shortage right now. More than half of the people will be retiring in the next 15 years. And at the same time, like new people entering the insurance industry is getting less and less every year. So with that, when we go to conventions, that is also being validated again and again from the people that we speak with, that it's very hard for them to hire people even for virtual assistants. So with advancement of AI, I really think we are able to fix that problem and really help insurance agents to grow instead of facing labor shortage problems that may threaten their work.
The world of insurance is changing because the world of tech is changing. Join us on the journey at ibactech.ca.